Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video, and this is a paid request for Steven. Thank you so much. This is the second of 3 requests from him. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, random thoughts, streams, commentaries, video game playthroughs, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. I do have a CashApp as well. Links are down below in the info box that I will get to as soon as I possibly can. So, thank you. And I don't know if this will be uploaded. There's 3 I'm doing. This might be uploaded second or third, whichever way. I'll try to upload them on the same day, the 3 requested, but this is for the tournament from 2009, which I've always enjoyed. I've seen this film before. I saw it back in the day. I got the DVD over there. And I always said this was like one of those gems of an action film that Sally doesn't get talked about. Didn't get much of a release. It did not get much of a release. For some reason, I don't understand why. And this director, Scott Mann, I think is a guy that deserves more. Because even after this, he did Heist with Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Robert De Niro and Batista and a few others that I thought was a pretty decent action film. Final Score. However you feel about Batista nowadays, which you have the right to feel that because for some reason he wants to be more skinny, feminine. I don't know what the fuck's up with Batista. I really don't. But this is when like Batista was worth a shit. And Final Score is actually one of his better movies that he starred in, which there aren't a lot. Like Final Score was pretty good. So like this guy, the director, knows how to handle action. Sometimes with a film like this, it's a little bit too shaky. This is one of my issues, nitpicks, but he knows how to handle action. There's a good chunk of practical, especially in this film. And it's gun battles, car chases, where it's like a tanker truck versus a double-decker bus. Ving Rhames being a badass, Kelly Hu from X-Men 2 and Friday the 13th Part 8 kicking ass, and Scott Adkins is in the film, although not a whole lot. You get some fisticuffs, you get some practical blood, you get some pretty gory moments in this. Some fairly gory moments. There's definitely some bloodshed in this. It's very fast-paced, it's 90-some minutes, doesn't overstay its welcome. If you like action films, this is easily worth a look. And I do think it's one of those gems that, for some reason, you know, I don't know if I want to call it diamond in the rough, but it's a film that deserves a lot more than it's gotten. It was a lot of fun to rewatch this. Just like, man, it's been a while since I've seen this. Does this still hold up? And it does. There's some fun black humor in it. So the story of the film is, and you've seen this premise before, The Running Man, The Condemned, Hunger Games, all that stuff. Some that came before this, The Running Man, some after this. And this is a much better version of The Condemned. With Stone Cold Steve Austin, which I hate that movie. I think that movie's awful. That's where the shaky cam goes so crazy, you can't understand what's going on. And then it wants this morality. I hate The Condemned. It's such a piece of shit. This, though, is what that film should have been. But you have a bunch of rich people. They bet on, there's a group of people, killers, whatever, in one place, one location, and they have to kill each other within a certain amount of time. Whoever's the last one standing, whoever bet on them, they get the money. And then the person who's left standing, they get $10 million, and they get the known that they're the best. So we see a little bit of the ending of the last game, which is Ving Rhames. He wins, and that cuts to 7 years later, where the tournament happens again, and Ving Rhames is part of it because he wants to find out who murdered his wife, and he's been told one of the contestants of things. There's 30 in total. Ving Rhames is told one of them. The other one's killed his wife. Kelly Hu, who's one of our leads, she's in it. There's Scott Adkins, who's a Russian, that happened a lot, that Scott Adkins would get those kind of roles because of Undisputed 2. So a lot of times they would have him play like a Russian or something. He's not in it a whole lot, but it's nice to see Scott Adkins in there. And this is 2009, so it's fairly early in his career. There's this parkour guy, this French guy, who can move like a damn bunny rabbit. There's this psycho Texan, southern type of guy that will shoot and kill anybody. And you know he's evil because he kills dogs, he'll kill hookers, he'll kill anybody in his way and not give a shit. And then you have Robert Carlyle, who is this priest, who is an alcoholic, and you see that he's down on his luck. I don't know if the movie explains why he's down on his luck. I'm watching this again, and maybe I missed it, and if it's so, I apologize. You feel free to comment down below. But I missed where it said why he was such an alcoholic. He might have. I don't know if they explained it or I just missed it. Maybe I just missed it. But he's alcoholic. He's down on his luck, down the dumps. The people that are in this tournament, they have these tractors. The French parkour guy takes his tractor out, puts in a drink. Eventually, Robert Carlyle gets some coffee. He drinks it. He accidentally swallows it. So then people think he's part of the game. Kelly Hu finds him, realizes something's up, then starts protecting Robert Carlyle, this priest, as these other people are going about their way. And then that's pretty much it. Good chunk of action, goes at a very fast pace. I remember when I first saw this, thinking within the first 10 minutes, okay, I'm in good hands. Not with Allstate, but with other hands. Where it's a bloody meat locker, where there's literally blood everywhere, paint the walls red type of blood around. And there's a crazy guy with a machine gun, and then there's Ving Rhames, and he does this thing where he slides on blood, like he does not a baseball slide, but like going forward, like he slides forward, he's gliding along all the blood, that's how much blood it is, he's gliding along, he grabs, not a shotgun, I forget what kind of gun it is. It might be the thing the guy in No Country for Old Men uses. It's something like that, and he presses it to the guy's head and blows the head up. Like, very gory, practical head explosion. I went, oh shit. Okay. I love Ving Rhames, Pulp Fiction, various other movies that he was in. Ving Rhames is great. Mission Impossible, he's been good in those. And he's a badass killer and sliding on blood and blowing a guy's head up. I'm like, oh shit. Okay. Alright. And then we're introduced to the rich people and the head of the organization that deals with all the rich people taking bets. I forget the guy's name. It's Liam. Was it Cunningham? Lehman? Not Liam Hemsworth. That's a different thing. Liam. He's the guy who is the human bad guy in Dog Soldiers. Because I'm like, I know he looks familiar. Oh, he was in Dog Soldiers. He was the prick who becomes one of our antagonists in Dog Soldiers, which I love Dog Soldiers. My favorite werewolf film. So again, 7 years later is in Great Britain, and again we're introduced to Kelly Hu, we're introduced to Robert Carlyle, and not all of the 30, not even half or a third of the 30, but a few. Which is fine because it keeps the pacing pretty quick and fast. And yeah, it's one of those movies that there's not a whole lot of downtime before an action scene happens. So whether it be Kelly who wakes up and she's in her motel room, and there's a guy who's room service, but it's a guy that tries to kill her and tries to kill her with this wire, but she's able to maneuver, and the guy cuts his own fingers off, and nice back and forth fight, ending with a headshot. There's a whole battle in a church between Kelly Hu and Scott Atkins, where Scott Atkins knows how to fight, of course, and he's throwing grenades, and a decent amount of people get blown up in this movie, and when they get blown up, they get blown up in very gory chunks. So I appreciate the director used a good amount of practical in this. And then throughout, you see like Ving Rhames kill some people. You see Kelly Hu kill some people, protect Robert Carlyle. You figure out there's a bit of backstory with Kelly Hu as to what some of the stuff what's going on. Then we have a little bit of this psycho. I don't know if he's from Texas, but he's a Southern guy. Maybe it would have been nice to know at least a little bit more of the other contestants. Maybe even if it got to a point where like the rest of the contestants all have to converge on Kelly Hu and Ving Rhames, and then they have to kill everybody, until eventually what happens. But those are just little nitpicks here and there. Robert Carlyle, I liked him as an actor. I liked him in Ravenous. He was good in 28 Weeks Later. I thought he worked well as the priest. I didn't think he was annoying. I didn't think he was irritating. I thought it was easy for me to feel sorry for him. Like I said, I don't know if they went too much into his backstory. I can't remember. If they didn't, then I wish they would have delved a bit more into why he became such an alcoholic. If they did, I apologize for, I don't know how I forgot about it. And like I said, the director captures like a good pacing throughout it. And the action scenes at least try to differentiate itself. So again, we have like this one-on-one fight in this hotel room. Or we have this fight with grenades and more martial arts in the church. We have this kind of battle with a car where two of our characters are in a phone booth. They get out of the way and the truck goes through the phone booth, and Kelly who's shooting at this person who's in a vehicle. There's this whole thing in a strip club where there's a bunch of people there, and it shows that the psycho Southern guy doesn't give a shit because he'll shoot. Which I actually appreciate that, because yeah, there would be people who don't give a fuck about someone's life. So why wouldn't they just shoot through hookers, innocent people? And we see that this is the same guy that killed a dog, so he's not going to give a shit. Just a lot of times you have certain films where, this is a killer, a bad guy, but he's not just laying waste to the crowd. Why wouldn't he? He's a vicious killer, psycho. Why wouldn't he just lay waste to the crowd? He doesn't give a shit. So here it's like, no, you're right, this guy doesn't care, and he just, whoever's in my way, tough shit happens. Again, this is a time period where people would just tend to have a camera. Thankfully, it's not like this, or I'm totally confused, but sometimes it's a little bit kind of this way. I'm not going to pick up the camera and do it because I don't want to screw it up, but imagine this is the screen, and you kind of seeing it shake like that. It seems like after like Saving Private Ryan and the Bourne films, people tended to do that a bit more. I'm thankful for the most part that's going away, as it should. But I still think the actresses worked fairly well despite that stuff. But I like the kind of I was it's not a relationship, but I do appreciate they didn't try to force a romance into this. Just not every film needs a romance. So when I say relationships, that kind of the I thought Robert Carlyle and Kelly Hu worked well together. I thought Kelly Hu did a good job. I mean, I'm trying to think of other films she did where she got to be the star. Not a whole lot. There aren't a whole lot of movies she got to be the star. So I thought that was nice to see. How do I do this well? I mean, I spoiled some. Well, let me get more into spoilers. Like, it's a fun movie. If you like action films, if you like films about you know, killers going after each other, or films kind of in the vein of The Running Man, like that kind of thing, it's definitely worth a look. There's that movie The Hunt, which I didn't mind. I would say I like this film more though, but I didn't mind The Hunt. But for those who like those kind of movies, it's definitely worth a look. Like I said, it's bloody. There's some pretty funny moments. Nice amount of action, and definitely enough to get your action crave satisfied, if that makes sense. Especially like and there's some good set pieces. Like, yeah, there's a whole bit with a double decker bus and a tray like a tanker truck trailer, tanker truck. That's actually pretty good for a film that really just went direct to video in the U.S. I'm sitting there going, considering some of the films that went to theaters, why the fuck did this just go direct to video? I don't understand it. I don't get it. It deserved better than that. And Scott Mann deserves better than that. Like, Scott Mann deserves more opportunities. I wasn't huge on his last film, The Fall, but there's some decent direction. I didn't hate the film. But he does deserve more opportunities. He does. So getting more into spoilers. Like I said, there's the beginning with Ving Rhames. I like the whole bit. Like I said, him sliding and grabbing the thing and blowing the guy's head up. Thought that was cool. Yeah, I like Robert Carlyle. I like Kelly Hu. I like the actors involved. I thought they did a good job. I love seeing someone do parkour stuff. Because I'm very envious because I would love to do that kind of stuff but never could. And they definitely hired the right guy for it. And he's the one who takes his tractor out, puts in the coffee, Robert Carlyle drinks. Like I said before, Kelly Hu, Scott Atkins in this church, and Scott's throwing these grenades, and Kelly Hu's avoiding them. And I do like that they established that Scott Atkins does seem to be the better fighter and is kicking Kelly Hu's ass. But then when Robert Carlyle tries to help and there's a distraction, then Kelly Hu's able to get some momentum on. And like I said, each time someone blows up, they blow up in pretty gory fashion. Because she's able to do stuff, take the grenade pin out, and blow Scott Atkins. I wish he was in it more. I wish Scott Atkins, if they showed him killing a few other competitors before he got to Kelly Hu, I think that would have been nice to see. Because I think Scott Atkins, they could have saved that a bit later. Like, let Scott Atkins kill a few other competitors, really show what he could do martial arts wise, ability wise, before you get to this. But I mean, that's just nitpicking. At this time, like, Scott Atkins was rising, but he wasn't what people think of Scott Atkins now. I'm sure if this was done now, he would have been in it longer, and if he had to die, it would have been further into the movie. Like I said, I like the bit where they're in a phone booth and the guy get out of the way and the truck smashes it and Kelly Hu shoots at it and the car flips over. Ving Rhames, he does his trick where he puts his shoes somewhere in this like parking garage and the guy thinks Ving is there, then Ving comes up and blows the guy's brains out. There's some good stunt work. There's a bit where the French parkour guy is chasing after and shooting at Kelly Hu. And there's this bit where the car is driving He's in front on his back, and his feet are on the front of the vehicle, and it's like pushing him along. So he's on the ground on his back with his feet up on the bumper, and while the car's going forward, he's like being pushed, and he's like shooting at it, like stuff like that. It's like, okay, that's a really cool stunt for a film that again just went direct to video. And there's squibs. There's actual squibs. Like during the strip club shootout, there's a guy who gets his arm blown off, among other stuff. And the Psycho Texans shooting people. Ving Rhames comes in and uses a guy as a shield, and not quite Total Recall bloody, but still pretty bloody. That Southern guy knocks out and has Ving Rhames tied up, but then Ving Rhames is able to get some alcohol, and when the guy lights it, he spits, and again, real fire gag, fire stunt. Credit to the stuntmen doing that. It's very dangerous stuff. And again, nowadays it'd just be CGI and done in that way, that fashion. So I'm glad they did it. Where again, this director, at least in this film, tried to do as much practical as he could. Not saying everything was practical, but he did as much as he could, and I appreciate that. More than what other films were doing at this time. That Psycho gets a good comeuppance because Kelly Hu beats the shit out of him in this gas station, and even like wounds him, stabs him. And then this is where we kind of find out that the tractors is not just a tractor, it's a bomb. So if there's not just one person left standing by the end of this time, you all blow up, and we see the guy blow up. The way it's done is hilarious because the others don't know. There's like this poor gas station attendant. There's Robert Carlyle, there's Kelly Hu. And the guy, when the asshole blows up, it's massive. And there's a quick shot where, like, Kelly Hu's character, you see people go, just imagine, like, if someone took, like, a big old, like, I don't know what you call it. Something like, I don't know what you call it. I forget what, like a cannon. Like, just someone has, like, a big cannon, just... I like the gas station attendant. I like his subdued reaction to what's going on. That I thought was a very funny, bloody and funny scene. It did make me laugh. Watch it again. Now, what you come to find out is Kelly Hu is the one who killed Ving Rhames' wife, because she was ordered by the organization, and you're not supposed to question orders. And so she went there, and even though she was a bit confused, she did the deed. But now she finds out what the reality is and feels very, very guilty, which is why she's protecting Robert Carlyle so much. Because she's a hit woman, but she doesn't go after innocent people. She was lied to. She feels guilty. She wishes she had listened to her instincts, but she didn't. I thought Kelly Hu did a nice job showcasing those emotions. Like I said, to repeat one last time, either they didn't go into why Robert Carlyle is the way he is, or it was done in such a fashion that it was easy for me to miss. So I think that could have been much more prominent for Robert Carlyle's character. Another bit I liked is that there's a competitor that likes to blow people up with the bazooka. So he's going to blow up Carlyle and Kelly Hu, but he gets hit. And when he gets hit, the rocket kind of... And the two just staring. And go, oh shit, they get out of the way. And then it explodes nearby. And again, then you get this really... I forgot how big this action set piece was, where Ving Rhames is driving a tanker like he's the T-1000 and T-2. Kelly Hu makes Robert Carlyle drive this double-decker bus, and they're slamming against each other, and then the parkour guy, because it's just that's who's left of the competitors, he jumps down, and then he is fighting Kelly Hu, And there's a bit where she's on the bottom, he's on the top, and they're both shooting at each other as they're going back and forth. And Ving Rhames is driving, and people's cars are flipping. And again, felt like a movie that would belong on the big screen. And for some reason, it wasn't. And Scott Mann has a tendency to do that because, again, I would say this is his best film, but Heist and Final Score I still do like, and I think they're better than you would think action films, considering they always tend to go like direct to video or something. I don't know what the deal is. Like, did he shit in someone's Cheerios? Did he fuck someone's daughter? What's the deal here? What do people have against Scott Mann getting films, action films, I should say, action films in theaters? I would put this on the list of directors, action directors that are underrated. It's funny, this lady, Kelly, asked in a stream I did. Very nice lady. She's a Raphael fan like I am. She asked about like action directors, but like new up and coming. And it's hard to think of new up and coming ones nowadays, except the people that do like Nobody and the Nobody 2. I think the person did Headshot, like those kind of directors. But for a time it was his Scott Mann because of films like this and Heist, and it's just a shame. So then, more to spoilers. Carlisle saves Kelly Hu because he realizes she's in trouble, and he puts on the brakes, and the French guy gets smashed by Ving Rhames' vehicle, and Ving Rhames' vehicle flips over, and it blows up. So Carlisle, by his actions, took care of that stuff. I do like Carlisle's moment with Kelly Hu where she's like, go on without me, and he's like, no, you didn't abandon me, so I'm not going to abandon you. Ving Rhames comes in, confronts Kelly Hu, he finds out the truth, and then eventually Ving Rhames comes in to take his prize, confront the bad guy. Why did he have my wife ordered to be killed? Well, because I need you back into this tournament. You're the last winner. You didn't want to do it. You were safe and sound with your wife. Fuck that shit. We needed you here. Be much more of a fun event for the people making bets. Now, I'm not sure how this quite worked with the tractor thing. Because what happens is the tractor is gone, and it makes it seem as if they stopped the timer before it all blows up. Well, Ving Rhames, you find out he didn't kill Kelly Hu, he just took the tractor out. So then he grabs the bad guys, puts the tractor in his mouth, and makes him swallow it. I guess, to be honest, there's these two tech guys, they do say it's automatic. So I guess the idea is that if... But here's the thing, why is the tractor not working until the guy swallows it? So if you take the tractor out, the tractor is gone. So I don't know if they explain how that works. Like, why is it that the tractor... Does it think that happens earlier when the French guy took the tractor out, the tractor was gone. But then when someone swallows it, the tractor starts again. Is the tractor manifesting with the blood or the body? That's what I'm trying to think if they remember. I'm trying to remember if they explain that. Like, why does a tractor not work if it's out of the body, but does work when it's in a body? That doesn't really make sense to me. I don't know if they tried to explain it, and if they did, I still didn't understand it. I take the tractor out of your body, it doesn't work. But I put it in your body, it works. But it's still this device. You think it would work regardless if it's outside. Like if I have a tractor, it should be tracking me here, or now here in my stomach. It should still work either way. But I guess we gotta find a way for it to not show up until now, and then it starts and then the countdown automatically happens and whatever. It's a movie. That's why it's a fucking movie. But I didn't understand. Again, oh well, it's a movie. So I would like to a little bit more Robert Carlyle's backstory. I would like to see Kelly Hu and Robert Carlyle maybe have to deal with a few more of the contestants, since there's, well, without her, 29 more. This is a montage where it's kind of like random contestants killing random contestants, and it's like, okay, it's cool, but because we don't know who is who, it's just kind of there. It's like, okay. I would like to have seen a bit more of them going after Kelly Hu and Robert Carlyle, and Kelly Hu, not like a siege movie, but it seemed like they're coming out of the woodwork, and be a bit more relentless for Kelly Hu's character and having to deal with this stuff. At least like a couple more contestants going after Kelly Hu, if that makes sense. So, the picture of the tractor thing, Carlisle a little bit more to his character, and a little bit more of action where Kelly Hu gets to kick a little bit more ass. But those are nitpicks. Aside from that, it's a fast-paced film. It's very fun. It's very action-packed. It's very bloody. There's some fun black humor in it. Pretty good cast. I think Carlisle, Hu, and Ving Rhames all do a good job. And overall, like I said, this is a film that deserves more than it got. It deserves more than it got. I really do feel that way. That's just my thoughts on it. Very underrated film. Bit of an action gem, so to speak. That, if you like action films, is definitely worth a look. With that said, thanks for watching. This still held up from when I watched it back then. And we will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye for now.